Have you ever seen something that breaks your heart into 1,000 pieces and changes your life forever? Well, that's exactly what happened to Nathan Brooks one cold Christmas Eve. What started as a simple visit to the community center ended up becoming the most impactful moment of his life. And wait, because what he discovered that night is going to leave you breathless. It was December 24th, and the cold was the kind that seeps into your bones. Nathan was driving with his 10-year-old son Lucas when suddenly, the lights of his car illuminated something that left him frozen. 3 silhouettes huddled against a brick wall. At first he thought they were shadows, but no. It was something much more heartbreaking. A young mother with her 2 7-year-old twin daughters, shivering from cold and hunger. When Nathan approached, the woman could barely whisper in a broken voice, "Please sir, my girls haven't eaten in 2 days. I don't know what to do anymore." In that moment, Nathan felt something shatter inside his chest. There was a desperate mother trying to protect her little ones from the icy wind with her own body. And what came next no one expected. But before we continue, let me ask you something. Where are you watching us from? We love knowing how far these stories reach. Now let's keep going. Lucas, Nathan's son, was the first to notice them. His breath fogged the car window as he looked outside. "Dad, look," he said quietly. Nathan followed his gaze and saw the 3 figures pressed against the building as if they wanted to melt into the wall. Their thin coats were useless against the cruel Ohio wind blowing with snow crystals that stung like needles. Nathan felt a knot in his throat. It was Christmas Eve, the cold was terrible, and there was a mother trying to protect her babies with nothing more than her own warmth. "Stay in the car for a moment, son," Nathan said as he was already getting out of the car. He opened the trunk and pulled out a wool blanket he always carried for emergencies and a bag of canned food they had brought to donate. His worn boots crunched against the frozen pavement as he approached slowly, carefully, not wanting to scare them. The woman looked up. Even under the dim light of the street lamp, Nathan could see the deep exhaustion in her blue eyes. Weary, desperate, but still protective. She couldn't be more than 30, with straight blonde hair that once was well-groomed but now hung lifeless around her face. The 2 little girls clinging to her sides were identical twins, maybe 7 years old, with the same curly ginger hair and faces pinched from cold and hunger. "Excuse me for bothering you," Nathan said softly, stopping a few feet away. He held up the blanket. "My name is Nathan. I was dropping something off at the center, and I thought since I have this blanket and some food, please take them." Nathan turned and motioned to Lucas. His son was already out of the car, with his winter jacket unbuttoned before Nathan could finish the sentence. Lucas ran toward them and without a word, without anyone asking, he took off his winter jacket and carefully placed it over the shoulders of the smaller twin. "My name is Lucas," he said gently in a way that made Nathan's throat tighten. "What's your name?" "Ella," the little one stammered with chattering teeth. "And I'm Zoe," her sister added quietly. "Come on," Lucas said, extending his hand to Ella. "Inside it's warm and Mr. Harold makes the best hot chocolate in the world." The community center's heating system rattled and vibrated, but it worked. And that's what mattered. Nathan guided them down the dimly lit hallway to the common room where Harold, the elderly night supervisor who knew Nathan from his regular donations, was adjusting a heater in the corner. "Harold, these people need warmth and maybe something to eat," Nathan said quietly. "Can you help?" Harold looked at Sophia and the twins, and his weathered face softened immediately. He'd been working at that community center for 30 years. He'd seen it all, the broken, the desperate, the forgotten. But something about a mother with her daughters on Christmas Eve hit different. "Of course," he said in a hoarse but kind voice. Sit down. I'll be right back." Sophia dropped onto the worn sofa as if her legs had finally given out. Zoe and Ella pressed against her sides, still shivering despite the warmth starting to seep into their little bodies. Nathan wrapped the blanket around the 3 of them, tucking it carefully around the twins' shoulders. "Thank you," Sophia whispered again. She kept saying it like it was the only phrase she remembered. Lucas sat cross-legged on the floor in front of the twins, pulling a coin from his pocket. "Want to see a magic trick?" he asked, trying to get a smile out of them. Harold returned with a tray, steaming mugs of hot chocolate, thick sandwiches, and a plate of cookies shaped like stars and Christmas trees. Nathan watched as Sophia's hands trembled when she reached for the food. She gave sandwiches to Zoe and Ella first, waiting until they had taken their first bites before allowing herself even a sip of chocolate. The twins ate slowly at first as if they weren't sure the food was real. Then hunger took over and they ate with the desperate intensity of girls who hadn't had a decent meal in days. Nathan moved to a bench across the room with Lucas, giving them space but staying close enough to help if needed. He studied Sophia as she carefully wiped Ella's face with a napkin. as she whispered words of encouragement to Zoe to take more chocolate, as she made sure her daughters had everything they needed before taking a bite of her own sandwich. A mother doing what mothers do, putting her children first even when she herself was starving. Nathan felt memories stirring. 7 years ago he had been the one caring for a child alone, learning on the fly, making mistakes, feeling like he was drowning every damn day. Lucas's voice brought him back to the present. "Dad, can I show them the magic trick you taught me? The one with the disappearing coin." "Go ahead, son." As Lucas entertained the twins, Nathan noticed something that twisted his stomach. Sophia still wore a wedding ring. Worn, thin, but still there on her left hand. But there was no husband here, no partner helping her keep her children safe and warm. After the twins ate and began to relax, curling up together on the sofa under the blanket with fuller stomachs and warmer bodies, Sophia approached Nathan. Up close, under the fluorescent lights, he could see her more clearly. Despite the dirt smudged on her face and the exhaustion etched in every line, she had kind eyes. Eyes that had clearly shed too many tears recently. "I don't know how to thank you. You didn't have to do this." Nathan shook his head. "Can I ask what happened?" "You don't have to tell me if you don't want to." Sophia's face crumbled for just a moment before she pulled herself together, holding back tears by sheer willpower. She glanced at her daughters, making sure they were far enough not to hear. "My husband," her voice broke on the word. "6 months ago he took out a large loan without telling me anything. He said it was for a business opportunity, something that would change our lives." She laughed, but it was a hollow, broken sound. "He was right about that." Nathan stayed quiet, letting her find the words. "Then he left. He took off with a woman he'd been cheating on me with behind my back. He left us with nothing except his debt. The men who came for the money took everything. Our house, our car, every penny of our savings. They didn't care that I hadn't signed anything, that I didn't know about any of it. They just wanted their money." Nathan's jaw tightened, his hands curling around the edge of the bench, knuckles whitening. "He abandoned his children. The shelter where we were staying is full tonight because of the holidays. We've been waiting outside all afternoon hoping a spot would open up, but it's Christmas Eve. Everyone needs a place to go tonight." She looked at Nathan, really looked at him, and he saw something in her eyes that he recognized. Shame. The kind of shame that comes from feeling like you failed at the only job that really matters. "I've been applying for jobs everywhere, but no one wants to hire someone without a permanent address. The girls need to be in school, but I can't enroll them without a home. I feel like..." Her voice broke. "I feel like I'm failing them every day." Nathan understood that feeling. He carried it like a weight on his chest for years after Elena died. The crushing responsibility of being the only thing standing between a child and complete devastation. "Do you have family?" he asked gently. Sophia shook her head. "My parents died when I was young. My grandmother raised me, but she passed away 3 years ago. My husband's family," she swallowed hard, "blamed me when he left. Said I must have driven him away, that I wasn't good enough." "That's not true," Nathan said firmly. The conviction in his voice surprised even him. "You didn't do anything wrong." "You did. He's the one who failed, not you." Sophia stared at him and fresh tears rolled down her cheeks. "I don't know what I did wrong," she whispered. "I tried to be a good wife. I worked hard, took care of the girls, kept our home. I don't understand what I did to deserve this." Nathan leaned forward, his voice low and steady. "You didn't deserve any of this, and your daughters don't deserve to spend Christmas Eve freezing on the street." Across the room, Lucas was showing the twins another magic trick. Ella let out a giggle, a small and fragile sound, and Zoe clapped softly. It was the first time Nathan had heard them make any sound of joy. An idea was forming in Nathan's mind. It probably wasn't logical, definitely risky, but something about this moment felt bigger than logic. "Listen," he said, making a decision that would change everything. "I have a small house. It's not much, but there's a guest room. You and the girls could stay there. Just until you get back on your feet." Sophia's eyes widened. "I can't. We couldn't impose like that. You don't even know us." "I know enough." Nathan looked at her daughters. "I know you're a mother trying to protect her children. I know you need help, and I know it's Christmas Eve, and I can't let you go back out into that cold." He paused and something in his chest loosened, a knot he hadn't noticed he'd been carrying for 7 years. "I'm a single dad too," he said quietly. "My wife died 7 years ago. I've been raising Lucas alone since he was 3. It's not easy. There were times I needed help. When I didn't think I could survive another day," he met Sophia's eyes. "Someone gave me a chance when I needed it most. Let me do the same for you." Sophia looked at him like he'd just spoken in a language she didn't understand. Why would you do this? We're strangers. Nathan looked at Lucas, who now had both twins laughing at his silly impressions. His son, who had lost his mother but never lost his kindness. Who saw people hurting and wanted to help because that's what Nathan had taught him. Even when Nathan himself was drowning in grief. Because it's the right thing, Nathan said simply. And because no one should be alone on Christmas. The drive to Nathan's house was quiet. Sophia and the twins were squeezed in the back seat with their scant belongings. 2 small backpacks with some changes of clothes and a worn stuffed bunny that Zoe clutched like a lifeline. Lucas sat up front, occasionally turning to whisper something to the twins that made them smile shyly. Nathan's mind was racing. What was he thinking? He had a 10-year-old son, a budget that was barely enough, and a house that was already too small for the 2 of them. Now he was bringing home 3 more people. But every time doubt crept in, he remembered Sophia's face in that moment before he approached. The way she pulled her daughters close, trying to shield them with a body that was already frozen and exhausted. The fierce, desperate love of a parent with nothing left to give but themselves. He knew that feeling. When Elena had died, Nathan had felt like his entire world had shattered into pieces too small to put back together. One moment she was laughing, playing with 3-year-old Lucas in their backyard. The next she was on the ground, her face pale, her lips turning blue. Undiagnosed heart condition, the doctors had said afterward. A congenital defect, a time bomb hidden in her chest since birth. No warning, no chance to prepare, no opportunity to say goodbye. The first year after her death was a blur. Nathan remembered crying in the shower so Lucas wouldn't hear. Remembered burning dinner and ordering pizza for the 3rd night in a row. Remembered trying to braid Lucas's hair for picture day using a YouTube tutorial, failing miserably and finally asking the neighbor, Mrs. Henderson, for help. He'd learned to survive on routine. Structure was the only thing keeping the chaos at bay. Wake up at 6 a.m., make breakfast, pack lunches, get Lucas to the school bus, work his shift at the bottling plant, come home, homework, dinner, bath time, bedtime stories. Even when Nathan's eyes were so heavy he could barely keep them open. 7 years of this. 7 years of being both mother and father. 7 years of showing up to every PTA meeting, every soccer game, every school play. 7 years of being enough even when he felt like he was failing. And somehow, impossibly, they'd made it. We're home, Lucas's voice broke Nathan's thoughts. They were pulling up to the small rental house, a modest 2-bedroom with peeling paint and a front porch that sagged slightly on one side. It wasn't much, but it was home. Sophia stared at the house like it was a mansion. It's perfect, she whispered. Inside the house was warm and lived in. Worn furniture, scratched floors, a Christmas tree in the corner decorated with handmade ornaments Lucas had made in elementary school over the years. Nothing fancy, nothing impressive, but it was safe. The guest room is here, Nathan said, leading them down the narrow hallway. The small room had mostly been used for storage. Boxes with Elena's things he couldn't bear to throw away, old tax documents, outgrown clothes from Lucas. I'll clear some space tonight. For now, Lucas can sleep on the couch and you can take his room. No, please, Sophia protested. We can't take his room. But Lucas was already gathering his favorite stuffed animals from his bed. It's okay. I like camping on the couch, and Zoe and Ella need my room more than I do tonight. Nathan felt his throat close with pride watching his son. Now he was sure of one thing. He was raising a good kid. Is that okay, Lucas? The twins asked. He extended his stuffed dinosaur to Ella. You can borrow Rex tonight. He's really good at keeping nightmares away. Ella took the dinosaur carefully, hugging it to her chest. Thank you, she whispered. Later that night, after the twins had fallen asleep in Lucas's bed, their stomachs full for the first time in days, their bodies finally warm, Sophia found Nathan in the kitchen. He was making tea because that's what Elena used to do when she needed to think. It was one of 1,000 small habits he'd kept alive, trying to hold on to pieces of her. I don't know how to thank you, Sophia said softly. Nathan handed her a mug. You don't have to. Just rest. Tomorrow we'll figure out the next steps. There's a hiring manager at the bottling plant where I work who owes me a favor. And I know the elementary school principal. We can get the girls enrolled. Sophia's hands shook as she held the hot mug. I'll pay you back everything. Every penny. As soon as I can work, I'll contribute to the groceries, the rent, everything. I promise. Let's take it one day at a time, Nathan said gently. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, sipping their tea. Nathan studied Sophia under the soft kitchen light, the tired lines around her eyes, the way she held herself like she was expecting another blow at any moment. You really raised Lucas alone? Sophia asked. Nathan nodded. It wasn't easy. It still isn't. But you do what you have to for your kids. Your wife. What happened? Nathan felt the familiar ache in his chest. Duller now after 7 years but never completely gone. Heart condition we didn't know she had. She was playing with Lucas in the backyard one afternoon. One moment she was laughing, the next she was gone. No warning, no chance to say goodbye. I'm so sorry, Sophia whispered. It happens. Nathan looked at her directly. You have your daughters, and from what I've seen tonight, you're an incredible mother. That man was a fool to leave you. Sophia's eyes filled with tears again, but this time she didn't look away. Why are you being so kind to us? Nathan thought about that question. About Elena's death and the dark year that followed. About Mrs. Henderson bringing casseroles every week. About Harold at the community center letting them use the facilities for free when money was impossibly tight. About all the small kindnesses from strangers that had kept Nathan and Lucas afloat when they were drowning. Because people were kind to me when I needed it most. And because kindness matters, especially on Christmas Eve. Sophia looked at him and something passed between them. A recognition of shared pain, shared struggle, shared strength. They were both wounded, both fighting, both doing everything they could to protect the children who depended on them. Merry Christmas, Nathan, Sophia said softly. Merry Christmas, Sophia. Neither of them knew it yet, but something was beginning. Something neither had been looking for, but both desperately needed. Outside, the snow began to fall gently over the small Ohio town, covering the streets in white, making everything clean and new again. Christmas morning arrived with the smell of pancakes and the sound of children's laughter, a sound Nathan's house hadn't had in far too long. Lucas had insisted on sharing his new bike with the twins, taking turns riding it up and down the hallway while Nathan made breakfast. Sophia appeared in the kitchen doorway, looking more rested than the night before, though her eyes were still shadowed with worry. I can help, she said immediately, moving toward the stove. Please let me help with something. Nathan stepped aside and they fell into an easy rhythm. Him flipping pancakes while she set the table. Their movements synced in a way that felt natural, comfortable. Over breakfast, Lucas chattered nonstop about his art set and how he was going to teach Zoe and Ella to draw dinosaurs. The twins were quiet but attentive, occasionally venturing small comments. They were still scared, still uncertain, but they were opening up. I need to be honest with you, Sophia said after breakfast when the kids were busy in the living room. I don't have much work experience beyond accounting and managing accounts. Before I got married, I ran a small accounting firm, but that was years ago. And after the girls were born, I stayed home. Can you work with numbers? Nathan asked. Yes, I'm actually really good with budgets and financial organization. Nathan felt something click into place. Then I know exactly where you need to work. The bottling plant needs someone in their accounting department. Our current person is a mess. Can't keep anything in order. Let me make a call. The days after Christmas blurred together in a strange and unexpected harmony. Nathan called his hiring manager, a gruff man named Carlos, who owed Nathan several favors after Nathan had covered his shifts during a family emergency. Carlos agreed to interview Sophia. She got the job within a week. Sophia started in the accounting department and within 2 weeks had reorganized the entire filing system and caught 3 significant errors that had been costing the company money. Carlos pulled Nathan aside one day at lunch. Where did you find her? She's brilliant. The best hire we've made in years. Nathan felt pride rush through him. Not the kind of pride you feel for yourself, but the deeper kind you feel when someone you care about succeeds. Wait, care about? Nathan pushed the thought away, but it lingered. Sophia insisted on contributing to household expenses as soon as her first paycheck came in. Nathan tried to refuse, but she was stubborn. You've already given us everything, she said firmly. Please let me do this. Let me feel like I'm not just taking. So they worked out an arrangement. She covered groceries. Nathan handled rent and utilities. They split the rest. The house started to feel different, fuller. The twins' laughter echoed through rooms that had been too quiet for too long. Zoe drew pictures that Sophia taped to the fridge. Ella sang little songs while coloring at the kitchen table. Lucas thrived having sisters, teaching them games, showing them his favorite books, protecting them like a big brother. Family dinners became routine. Nathan cooking while Sophia helped the kids with homework. They sat around the small table talking about their days, making plans for the weekend. It felt natural, right? Nathan found himself watching Sophia sometimes. The way she laughed at Lucas's terrible jokes. The way she bit her lip when concentrating on a budget sheet. The way she tucked her hair behind her ear when nervous. One night, they were washing dishes together after dinner. Nathan washing, Sophia drying. Their hands brushed when she reached for a plate. And Nathan felt electricity shoot up his arm. Sophia felt it too. He could tell by the way she froze, her breath catching. "Sorry," Nathan murmured. "It's okay," she said quietly. But the air between them had changed, charged with something neither was ready to name. 2 months passed. Spring was starting to push winter's grip away. Sophia and the twins had become permanent fixtures in Nathan's life, in his home, in his routine, in his heart. One Saturday afternoon, Sophia was in the guest room organizing old papers, trying to rebuild her credit and make sense of the financial mess her ex-husband had left. Nathan was in the kitchen when he heard her sharp intake of breath. "Nathan." Her voice was strange. "Nathan, I need to show you something." He found her sitting on the floor surrounded by old documents, her hands shaking as she held a bank statement. "What is it?" he asked, kneeling beside her. "The loan," she said, her voice trembling. "The loan my husband supposedly took out." "Nathan, look at this signature." She showed him the document. The signature was clearly forged. The handwriting didn't match any of Sophia's other signatures on legitimate documents. "He forged it," she whispered. "He committed fraud. I was never legally responsible for any of this debt." Nathan's mind raced. "The men who took your house, your savings? They weren't legitimate lenders. They were probably his friends helping cover his tracks, making it look real so he could take the money and run." Sophia's voice was growing stronger. Anger replacing shock. "I have old text messages, bank statements showing suspicious transfers. I know where he is now. He lives 2 towns over. I saw him on social media before I had to sell my phone." Nathan took her shoulders gently. "We're going to fix this. But Sophia, this isn't just about money. This is fraud. You could—" "I don't want lawyers and courts," Sophia interrupted, her eyes fierce. "I want to look him in the face. I want him to know I figured it out. And I want what he stole from my daughters." Nathan saw something in her eyes he hadn't seen before. Strength. Raw, powerful, unbreakable strength. "Then let's go. But I'm coming with you. You're not doing this alone." The drive took 40 minutes. Sophia had found her ex-husband's address through an old mutual friend who didn't know the whole story. The apartment building was run down, paint peeling, the kind of place where people end up when they're running from something. Nathan parked across the street. "Are you sure about this?" Sophia nodded. "I'm sure." They climbed the stairs to the 3rd floor, apartment 3C. Sophia knocked, firm, steady, fearless. The man who opened the door was nothing like Nathan had imagined. Average height, thinning hair, wearing sweatpants and a stained t-shirt. He looked at Sophia and his face went pale. "Sophia, how did you find?" "I know everything, Derek," Sophia said, her voice cold and controlled. "The fake loan, the forged signature, your friends pretending to be collectors, the gambling debts you covered by destroying your family." Derek's mouth opened and closed like a fish. I don't know what you're talking about." Sophia pulled out her folder of documents. "I have bank statements showing transfers to offshore accounts, text messages you forgot to delete, records of your gambling activity, and I have witnesses who will testify that you bragged about your plan." It was a bluff. She didn't have witnesses, but Derek didn't know that. His face crumbled. "Sophia, please. I was desperate. The gambling got out of control and You destroyed your daughters' lives to cover your mistakes," Sophia said, her voice trembling now with barely controlled rage. "You left them homeless. You left them cold and hungry and scared on Christmas Eve, Derek. Your daughters were begging for food on Christmas Eve while you lived in this apartment, safe and warm." Derek's eyes filled with tears, but they were selfish tears. Tears of guilt and shame, not genuine remorse. Nathan stepped forward, unable to stay silent any longer. "You're going to give back every penny you stole. Whatever you have left, you're going to return it." "I don't have it all," Derek whined. "I lost most of it gambling." "Then give what you have," Sophia said firmly, "and sign a legal document admitting the fraud. Because if you don't, I'm taking everything I have to every person you know, your family, your employer, your friends. I'll make sure everyone understands exactly what kind of man you are." Derek looked between them. This woman he'd betrayed and this stranger standing by her side like a shield. He saw he had no choice. "Okay," he whispered. I'll get what I have." They left the apartment 20 minutes later with a bank check for $30,000. Not everything Derek had stolen, but enough. And they had a signed confession, duly witnessed by a neighbor Derek had called. In the car, Sophia sat in silence, staring at the check in her hands. Then, suddenly she started laughing. Not the hollow laugh from before, but real, deep, cathartic, free laughter. "I can't believe it worked," she gasped between laughs. Nathan found himself laughing too. You were incredible in there. Fierce, powerful. I've never seen anything like it. Sophia's laughter faded and she turned to look at Nathan. Really look at him. I couldn't have done it without you. Knowing you were there, that I wasn't alone. Nathan pulled the car over to the side of the road, his heart pounding. Sophia, I need to tell you something. What is it? The truth that left me stunned, he said, his voice rough with emotion. It wasn't about the fraud or the money or what your ex-husband did. Then what was it? It was seeing you standing there in that apartment, strong and brave and brilliant. It was realizing I've been in love with you for weeks, maybe months. Nathan reached for her hand. It was understanding that I don't want you to get your own place with that money. I want you to stay. I want us to be a family. A real family. Tears streamed down Sophia's face. Nathan, You don't have to answer now, he said quickly. I just needed you to know. I needed you to know that what started as kindness on Christmas Eve turned into something more. Something real. Sophia leaned across the console and kissed him. It was tentative at first, then deeper, full of all the emotion they'd both been holding back for months. When they pulled apart, both were crying. I love you too, Sophia whispered. I've loved you since that night you made me tea and told me I wasn't failing my daughters. Since you looked at me like I mattered, like I was worth something. You're worth everything, Nathan said fiercely. Sometimes the person you need walks into your life exactly when you need them most. 2 years later, the community center was decorated with white flowers and bright lights. Nathan stood at the front of the room wearing a suit that Lucas had helped him pick out. His son was by his side as best man, grinning widely. Harold, the elderly night supervisor who had helped them that first night, stood before them holding a small book. Dearly beloved, he began, his hoarse voice surprisingly tender. The doors at the back opened and Sophia entered. She wore a simple white dress, her blonde hair falling in soft waves around her shoulders. Zoe and Ella walked ahead of her as flower girls, scattering petals and giggling softly. Nathan's breath caught. She was beautiful. Not just on the outside but in all the ways that mattered. In her strength, her kindness, her resilience, her love. When Sophia reached him, she took his hands and Nathan saw tears shining in her eyes. We are here today, Harold continued, to celebrate the union of two families who found each other when they needed it most. To celebrate love that grew from kindness. To celebrate second chances and new beginnings. Nathan barely heard the rest of the ceremony. He was lost in Sophia's eyes. In the weight of this moment. In the knowledge that somehow, against all odds, they'd found their way to each other. I do, he said when prompted, his voice strong and sure. I do, Sophia echoed, tears running down her face. Then, by the power vested in me, I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss the bride. Nathan pulled Sophia close and kissed her as Lucas, Zoe and Ella cheered. The small gathering of friends and co-workers applauded. Harold wiped his eyes with a handkerchief. That night at their wedding reception held in the same community center where they'd first met, Nathan stood to give a toast. Lucas handed him a glass and Nathan looked around at all the faces he loved. 2 years ago, he began, I thought I was just helping a stranger on Christmas Eve. I thought I was just doing the right thing, offering warmth and food and shelter to a mother and her daughters who needed it. He looked at Sophia, who watched him with so much love it ached in his chest. But the truth that left me stunned wasn't about fraud or money or even justice. The truth was that in the moment I saw Sophia protecting her daughters, I recognized something in her. I recognized myself. I recognized strength and love and determination. He paused, his voice growing thick with emotion. The truth was that in trying to help her, she helped me. She brought light back to a house that had been dark for too long. She gave Lucas sisters. She gave me a reason to believe in love again. Nathan raised his glass. The truth that left me stunned was that sometimes broken things can be made more beautiful than they were before. That love finds you when you're busy being kind. That family isn't always about blood. It's about showing up day after day for the people who matter. Everyone raised their glasses. To Sophia, Nathan said. To second chances. To finding home in the most unexpected places. To family, Sophia added softly. To family, everyone echoed. As the party continued around them, Nathan pulled Sophia close, swaying gently to the music. Lucas was teaching Zoe and Ella how to do a silly dance, and their laughter filled the room. Thank you, Sophia whispered against Nathan's chest. For what? For seeing me when I was invisible. For giving us a home when we had nowhere to go. For loving my daughters like they were your own. Nathan lifted her chin so he could see her face. Thank you for taking a chance on a stranger. For letting me into your life. for making our family complete. They kissed softly as the snow began to fall outside, just like it had that first Christmas Eve. Nathan thought about that night 2 years ago. About the three figures huddled against the cold. About the decision to offer help instead of looking away. About how one small act of kindness had transformed into something bigger than he'd ever imagined. Sometimes the greatest miracles come from the simplest choices. Sometimes saving someone else is exactly how you save yourself. And sometimes on a freezing Christmas Eve, when you open your heart to a stranger, you find exactly what you've been missing all along. Friends, if this story touched your heart like it touched mine, if it reminded you of the power we all have to change someone's life with a simple act of kindness, don't just watch it and leave. Give this video a like and share this story with someone who needs to remember that kindness is never wasted. Because at the end of the day, we all need a little more love and compassion in this world. And who knows, maybe your next act of kindness will be the start of something beautiful.